Welcome to another Little Farm Chat. You'll notice I'm still sitting by the fire. However, here in Maine, it was almost 60 degrees today, so this may be the last Little Farm Chat that I'll be giving next to the fire. I'm sure my faithful companion here will still be with me, but in future chats, you may find yourself in other places on our little farm. Today, though, I want to talk about creating balance in your life. I was at a Zoom meeting earlier this week and talking with colleagues about how COVID is changing our lives and what our prayers might include. And I was very aware of the fact that virtually everything that was mentioned in some way was negative about everything that we're experiencing. And I certainly agree that these times are difficult and there are many negatives, and I too could make a long list of them, but I kept wondering, are there things to be grateful for as well? And it reminded me of a quote from Viktor Frankl in his book Man's Search for Meaning. Everything can be taken from us but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. I'm taking a Zoom yoga course from my sister Sue, and at the end of the class, she has us reach our hands up high and then bring them down to our heart center. She asks us to bow our heads and to think of a couple of things that we are grateful for on this particular day. And then she asks us to open our hands just a little bit as a reminder to always hold space for ourselves in our day. And it got me thinking that in that holding space for ourselves, can some of that time be moments that we set aside to remember what good is coming out of this pandemic, what we are grateful for in the midst of this disease? Now, I'm not trying to be Pollyannish and downplay the difficulty, but I'm raising up to you the notion of creating a balance in which we can live these next weeks and months. Kind of like yin and yang, dark and light, positive and negative. How can we create a balance between two opposites? But I think that if we can create that balance, in the end, we would have more control over our lives. So I sat down and thought about random things that I'm grateful for, and I came up with a baker's dozen, 13 of them, and in no particular order. I'm grateful for the Zoom talks that we have with our kids now every Sunday afternoon, because it's not often that we are all together as a family. Every other Christmas and usually 1 or 2 days at our cottage up in Canada. So being together, even virtually, every week is just, it's a real pleasure. It's a real blessing. I'm thankful, grateful that our kids are older and are adults themselves. I cannot imagine how difficult it must be balancing being a parent, a teacher, a remote or even on-site worker or unemployed. I'm grateful that we had a garden last year. We planted late, as we tend to do, but we were able to freeze some stuff, so we are not totally dependent on the grocery store and what's stocked on a given day. I'm thankful in general for our little farm here because we can be naturally socially distant from just about everybody. I'm thankful for friends who have been in touch by email or text or phone, just kind of wondering how things are going. I am grateful that dogs are not the carrier of this disease and that we can't transmit it to our dogs. I'm thankful that my husband Joe does not have to travel, so we get to spend more time together. I'm thankful for our healthcare workers who put their lives on the line. Our son this afternoon was telling us about a friend of his who, for the last 9 days, has worked in the COVID ICU at a Boston hospital. So I'm thankful for people like Eric who do that sort of thing. I'm thankful that the earth is a healthier place, but sorry that it took a pandemic to make it so. I'm thankful that we live in an era of science and healthcare, and that we're not simply putting leeches on one another to solve a problem. I'm thankful that it's springtime and we have daffodils in bloom, because in spring there is an innate hope and beauty about just about everything. And I'm thankful that this will end and that we are not in this alone. I guess that's actually just a dozen, just 12, but I would encourage you to kind of use those things to get your mind going, to think of the things that you're grateful for. There was a poem that came out during the first part of this pandemic crisis. It was called Lockdown by a brother, Richard Hendricks. I'm just going to read you part of it. Yes, there is fear. Yes, there is isolation. Yes, there is panic buying. Yes, there is sickness. Yes, there is even death. Yes, there is fear, but there does not have to be hate. Yes, there is isolation, but there does not have to be loneliness. Yes, there is panic buying, but there does not have to be meanness. Yes, there is sickness, but there does not have to be disease of the soul. Yes, there is even death, but can always be a rebirth of love. Wake to the choices you make as to how you live now. Today, breathe. Listen, behind the factory noises of your panic, the birds are singing again. The sky is clearing. Spring is coming, and we are always encompassed by love. Keeping those thoughts in mind, then, go now in peace to that place which is special to you. Go and try to put some balance in your life, balancing your fear on the one hand with gratitude on the other. Do that, and you will be blessed in the name of our God who is the Creator, God who is the Son, and God who is the everlasting Spirit. Amen.